Om Sahana Bhavatu Sahanau Bhunaktu Sahaviryam Karavavahai Tejasvinavadhitamastu ma Vidvishavahai. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Let's read from the verse number 9. Punyo Gandhah Prathivyam Cha
Punyo Gandhah Prithivyam Cha
Tejaschasmi Vibhavasau
Tejaschasmi Vibhavasau
Jivanam Sarvabhuteshu
Jivanam Sarvabhuteshu
Tapaschasmi Tapasvishu
Tapaschasmi Tapasvishu
Bijam Mam Sarvabhutanam
Bijam Mam Sarvabhutanam
Viddhi Partha Sanatanam
Viddhi Partha Sanatanam
Buddhir Buddhimatamasmi
Buddhir Buddhimatamasmi
Tejas Tejasvinamaham.
Tejas Tejasvinamaham.
Lord Krishna is describing his glories here as to how he pervades the entire universe, how the entire universe of names and forms is strung into him. Ultimately, his nature is Asti Bhati Priyam, you can say, in which the whole universe of names and forms is strung. Although, as we said earlier, as far as stringing is concerned, the thread and the beads are strung in the thread. But here, the thread and the beads are the same degree of reality. However, what Lord Krishna means to say here is that the threads are not different, the beads are not different from the thread. So, tat ananyatvam aramana shabdadibhya, the Brahma Sutra explains, that ananyatvam, that the universe is non-separate from Ishvara. Ishvara is separate from universe, but the universe is not separate from Ishvara. In Puja Swamiji's equation, the B is equal to A, the A is not equal to B. B here is the beggar, A is the actor, B is equal to A, meaning that the beggar cannot be without the actor, but the actor is independent of the beggar. This is very important to recognize, as a question will arise, in the subsequent verses also. But the important thing is that just as whatever kind of roles that an actor assumes, whether he becomes a beggar, becomes a king, becomes whatever, how none of them is separate from him, independent of the actor, whereas in each case the actor remains separate or independent of the roles or the costumes. So, in this example of the actor and the beggar is a superimposition of an actor. Beggar is merely an appearance and the reality about the one who is wearing this costume. In that sense, this beggar on the stage is quite different from the beggar in the street. So, similarly is the relationship between Ishvara and the universe. The universe is like the costume. It's called the upadhi, which he sustains without being affected by that. Just as the actor remains unaffected by all the roles that he takes, so that Lord Krishna will say this in the subsequent verse. Bijamam sarvabhutanam viddhi partha sanatanam. He Partha, Sanatanam Bijam Sarvabhutanam Ma Vidhi, that I am the Sanatanam Bijam, the eternal cause of all the beings, where the bija or the seeds usually are perishable, and it is true also that all intermediate causes are perishable, but the fundamental cause, the basic cause is imperishable cause. You can say also that that very fundamental cause alone manifests as other intermediary cause. So even though we say that the clay is the cause of the pot, same Ishvara as clay becomes the cause of the pot, and thus subsequently whatever causes are there are manifestation of fundamental cause. So where is the manifestation keep changing, the fundamental cause does not change. Bijam vam sarvabhutanam vidhipartha sanatanam. Thus we can meditate upon Ishvara as the cause that does not change while all the effects keep on changing. What sustains all the effects, that cause is changeless. And as we said earlier, cause can be changeless if itself is not an effect. Because whatever cause we see is also an effect, and therefore it changes. This fundamental cause, which is cause of everything, itself not an effect, therefore changeless. Buddhi buddhimatamasmi. Buddhi viveka shakti antahkaranasya. So as we know, our antahkarana, the mind has this manaha, buddhi, chittam, ahankara. And so the antahkarana is generally looked upon as consisting of these four vrittis, or four dispositions, four states rather. So buddhi is one of them. And so call it viveka shakti, call it adhyavasayatmika antahkarana vritti buddhi. Same antahkarana is called buddhi when it is in the state of making a decision or judgment. But anyway, buddhi means viveka shakti, which is the most important gift or most important aspect of a human being. So one of the things that distinguishes a human being from other beings is buddhi or the viveka shakti. We are going to separate the two, dharma and adharma, good and bad, dharma, adharma, and ultimately atma, anatma, viveka. So this buddhi can be cultivated and purified, such as to be capable of ultimately discriminate between the self and the non-self. So that atma, anatma, viveka samarthyam. So this buddhi ultimately leads to the samarthyam, capability of distinguishing self from the non-self. So Lord Krishna says, etad buddhva buddhiman syat kruta krutyasya bharata. So buddhiman syat, a human being has the ability to become buddhiman. So abundantly possessed with the buddhi when he gains this knowledge. So when the atma, anatma, viveka is done, that's the ultimate capacity of the buddhi. So that buddhi, viveka shakti, but not only atma, anatma, viveka shakti, but then dharma, dharma. Every moment we have to use our buddhi or discrimination to determine what is right, what is wrong, what is kartavya, kartavya. And so buddhi is what is able to distinguish dharma and adharma, kartavya, karya, karye, bhaya, bhaye, bandham, moksham, chaya, vetti, buddhi sa, partha sattviki. So that is called buddhi, by which one can determine karya, akarya, what is to be done, not to be done. Bhaya, bhaye, what will cause fear, what will make me free from fear. Bandham, moksham, what will bind me, what will liberate me. In fact, human being in every situation has to really judge this. As to what action should I perform which will be binding to me or releasing me. What is karya, what is to be done, what is not to be done, what is to be avoided. So that buddhimatam asmi. Buddhimatam of those possessed of the buddhi. These human beings. Tejaha Tejasvinamaham. The word Tejas is explained as Pragalbhyam. What is Pragalbhyam? Parabhivo Samarthyam Parisya Anubhavivavyatvam Tejasvita. Tejasvita means the courage or the capacity that an individual has of overcoming others and not being overcome by others. That is called Pragalbhyam or Teja. So there are people who are possessed of that kind of Pragalbhya, that kind of an impact, that in the very presence also they are able to just, influence everybody. If they want to rule everybody, etc. So that capacity of dhairya, the courage also is called Teja Pragalbhyam. So that is of the Tejasvi, or the ones possessing this, that's that Pragalbhyam I am, Teja I am, the courage I am. Then continuing, Lord Krishna says in next verse, Balam balavatam
Balam balavatam
Kama raga vivarjitam
Kamaraga vivarjitam
Dharma viruddho bhuteshu.
Dharma viruddho
So, बंद कर दो।
bhuteshu
Kamosmi bharatarshava
Kamosmi bharatarshava
Balam balavatam Balam samarthyam Ojah Sharira patavam Indriya patavam cha. The capacity of the body is called balam, the strength, or indriya patavam also. The capacity or also the brilliance that the sense organs have, the mind has, all of this called balam. Balam balavatamaham. I am the very strength of the strong. Meaning that I pervade all the strong, as a strength I pervade all the strong. But here Lord Krishna gives an adjective, qualifies. So then we find strength in Rama, Lord Rama also, Ravana also, Kumbhakarna also. Everywhere we find strength. So Lord, are you the one who is giving the strength to Ravana, to Kumbhakarna, to Asuras? He says no. Kama raga vivarjitam. So Kama and Raga essentially mean the same thing there. The difference in the meaning is explained here. Kamasya, Ragasya, Kamaragu, Kama, Trishna, Asannikristeshu Visheshu. Kama means a Trishna, or the craving that one has for what one does not have. Raga, Ranjana, Prapteshu Visheshu. Raga means attachment. Attachment that one has for what one has. And Kama, the Krishna, or the craving that one has for what one does not have. Both of these create strength. In fact, strength means only impulse. That Kama, the Trishna also, passion also creates an impulse. And Raga, attachment, also creates an impulse which is a kind of a strength. Because when the person is overcome by Kama or passion also, he displays great strength and does things. But Lord Krishna says, not that kind of a negative strength or destructive strength, because Kama, Raga, that includes Krodha, all of these is strength, alright, but then destructive strength. Kama, Raga, Vivarjitam. So strength that Lord Rama has here, not strength that Ravana has, which comes from Kama and Raga and Lobha. So Ravana is embodiment of that kind of power. And Lord Rama is the embodiment of power which is devoid of Kama, Raga. So that strength, which is the protective strength. This strength is that blesses the person as well as the universe. The strength that Ravana etc. has is a destructive strength. Looks like a person is very strong when a person is overcome by impulse, but that comes and goes. The strength that one possesses as the very nature of oneself, arising from compassion, arising from basic values of dharma, also gives you strength. So therefore, the compassion or karuna, mercy, or kshama, the accommodation, all of this also gives you strength. Kshama virasya bhushanam. So kshama or forgiveness is the bhushanam, is the ornament of the strong and the courageous. So that is the protective strength, and that is the strength that I am. Everybody has that strength. But most people, on account of ajnana, ignorance, and therefore the kama, krodha, lobha, they are product of ignorance. Therefore the strength that we have gets sort of diluted, the polluted. But the unpolluted strength, which is the essential nature, it says, dehadi dhanamatrartham. That strength which is not an impulse, but which is just to sustain, one's own body and life. That is samsarinam trishna raga karanam. Samsaris have the strength, all right, but then it is passion. Trishna raga karanam, caused by trishna, the craving, raga, the attachment. Balam balavatam chaham kama raga vivarjitam. So up to this point, then dharma viruddha bhuteshu kamosmi bharatarshava. Hey Bharatarshava, aham kama hasmi. I am the very kama. So kama basically means only lust, which all living beings have. And that kama, the lust, is placed in all the living beings for the purpose of the propagation. So therefore kama, that is, if the kama is not there, there will be no propagation. So Lord wants that when He has created the universe also must be sustained. And therefore this kama is placed in all the living beings so that there will be propagation of the species. So kama is there because of its propagation of species there, because of which the sustenance of the universe is there. That kama, the Lord Krishna is dharma aviruddha. Ideally, as our scriptures would prescribe, the kama or the passion or the lust in the human being must be only for progeny and for nothing else. Meaning kama should not become a means of indulgence or become a means of pleasure. But this is something very difficult or perhaps not even possible, but theoretically, the kama or the lust is placed for the purpose of progeny. See, if you look at the Smriti Granthas and what a Grihastha is prescribed his life, is that the kama only which is suitable for progeny. Anyway, that's the ideal situation. But Lord Krishna said that kama, which is a means of propagation, which is means sustenance of this universe, that kama, dharma aviruddha, which is not opposed to dharma, that kama I am. But our Puja Swami was very, very fond of quoting this. Dharma viruddha bhuteshu kamosmi bharatarshava. Well, word kama can also be interpreted as any desire. So desire I am in all the living beings, and particularly human beings. He says, so he used to sometimes glorify this desire. To desire is the privilege that a human being has. He would say, for example, a he buffalo doesn't tell a she buffalo, let us go to a restaurant this evening and so forth and so on. So that kind of desire they don't have. Whereas human being has this desire, which Puja Swami used to glorify at some point in time, which what distinguishes the human being from others. It's a privilege. Dharma aviruddha. As long as that privilege is not abused, then that privilege results into the growth and prosperity and success, and that is how sustenance of the universe. And as long as artha and kama, which are the wealth and pleasure, comfort and pleasure, are quite genuine, legitimate ends for the human being, whichever scriptures are accepted, as long as artha and kama are based on dharma. Though, if you earn money and enjoy pleasures based on dharma, then there will be a blessing. Otherwise, that very thing can become a curse. So, if dharma is abused, compromised, in the process of acquiring artha kama, then the artha kama will not be a blessing, that itself will be a curse. Ya Shri Swayam Sukhitanam Bhavaneshu Alakshmihi Papatmanam. Same Shri is Lakshmi, meaning it really hurts or destroys a person. So dharma, aviruddha, kamosmi. I'm that kama, very desire, which is unopposed to dharma. Meaning that you are welcome to fulfill your desires as long as the fulfillment of desire is in keeping with dharma. Or in short, we can say that you should control the desires and not being controlled by the desires. Usually, many human beings are controlled by the desires. Because when the desire arises, kamat krodho vijayate, when the force of desire becomes very strong, then it goes out of control. So that desire is dharma aviruddha, which you can control, which you have the freedom to decide whether to fulfill the desire or not. So what is meant by managing desires is the freedom to determine whether I should fulfill the desire or not. Once I lose that freedom, then it's desire that determines what I do, then I'm controlled by desires. So dharma, aviruddha, kama, I am the very desire which is in keeping with dharma, which is in keeping with the harmony of the universe, and that desire is required in order for things to go on, for the world to function, for the prosperity to be created, and for basic the artha kama. That is what I am. Kimivam pariganena. So you can keep on counting like this. There is countless. Since Lord is present or pervading everything there, you can keep on describing this. Kimevam pariganena. What is the use of counting like that? Therefore now, in the next verse, Lord Krishna summarizes all his glories. Because so far, the vibhutis or glories that Lord describes are all sattvic glories, by the way. And all the good things in the people or in the world. But they are not good things, there are also not good things, bad things also. So Lord Krishna, you describe yourself as all that is good and favorable, but whatever does it, Lord Krishna, I am everything. And therefore, in the 12th verse, Lord Krishna says, Ye chaiva sattvika bhavaha
ये चैव सात्विका भावाः
rajasastamasascha ye
राजसास्तामसाश्च ये
matta eveti tan viddhi
मत्त एवेति तान् विद्धि
natvaham teshu te mayi.
न त्वहं तेषु ते मयि.
Ye chaiva, so whatever is not included, Lord Krishna says, in the enumeration list that I have given. Ye chaiva, whatever is not included in that. Satvikaha bhavaha, rajasaha bhavaha, tamasaha bhavaha. Lord Krishna says that I sustain everything. I pervade everything, sustain everything. I am present in it. I am the essential nature of everything. So Satvikaha, Sattva Nirvutaha, Nirvuttaha Bhavaha. So those which are born of Sattva, Rajasaha, born of Rajas, Tamasaha, born of Tamas. Satvikaha, Shamadhamadaya. In the mind also, the Satvika Bhava, the Sattvic state of the mind is when the mind enjoys Shamadhamadaya, Shama tranquility, Dhamma self-control, Uparati, the abiding inwardness of the mind, the cheerfulness of the mind, the pleasure of the mind. Tattva Sattvam Nirmalatvat. So Lord Krishna in the 14th chapter, Sattva is something that is Nirmalam. Prakasham is something that is conducive to reflecting the nature of the self, something that is conducive for the knowledge to take place. So that is like a transparent, clear pool of water where you can see what is at the bottom, and so also the mind becomes sattvic. It becomes like a transparent pool of water when you experience yourself. We always experience ourselves anyway. We cannot but experience the self because of the nature of experience. But then that experience takes place through the mind, and therefore the mind also distorts, even the perception of the self. But when the mind is sattvic, like a transparent, clear medium, then you experience essentially the more the sattvic the mind is, more true or close we are to the experience of our true nature. So sattvika bhavaha, any objects that are sattvika, which are made of sattva. So as the Sankhya has explained, the universe is the manifestation of three gunas, sattva, rajas and tamas. So you experience a beautiful nature where your mind becomes just pleased, and so that is called sattvika bhavaha. Rajasaha harsha darpadaya. So harsha, darpa means pride, arrogance, elation. All of this is the little of rajoguna. By the way, so when you get elated, in presence of something, so rajas is that where I am controlled by something. Sattva is the state of mind where I am in control. Rajas is the state of mind when I am controlled. So harsha means elation. When something happens which is desirable to me, I get elated. Suppose when my favorite team wins, I become elated. When I become successful, I become elated. At that time, it is not I who decides what the state of my mind is, it is my mind decides, and therefore that harsha is called rajo, that's a rajoguna. Sattva is where there are no waves essentially. The mind is tranquil, quiet. And rajas is when there are a lot of waves in the mind, when mind becomes disturbed or restless. So restlessness is the result of the rajas. But anyway, in rajas also there can be happiness. In sattva of course happiness, rajas also can there be happiness, and tamas also. As Lord Krishna will describe in the 18th chapter later on, Vishayendriya sanyogat yat tadagre amrutopamam pariname vishamiva tatsukham rajasam smrutam. Happiness that comes from the enjoyment of the sense pleasures is something which is very tempting, in the beginning, but then turns into like a bitter poison because it is binding. So that which is pleasant in the beginning, but binding in the end is called the rajas sukham. So that also is there. Rajas also is there in the universe. And tamas also, nidra, alasya, pramadotham, that is the tamasam sukham. So sattva, rajas and tamas. Meaning we also pass through these states during the day. Sometimes mind is very happy, cheerful, pleasant. Sometimes it is agitated, restless. Sometimes it is dull. So sattvika, either we and then the universe also can be described as consisting of sattvika, rajasa, tamasa. And so there are, when the wind can be very sattvika, very pleasant, and it can turn into a storm, rajasa, and then can be very destructive also. So tamas, everything can display sattva, rajas and tamas. Because the universe is the product of these three gunas, and therefore among sattvikas, rajasa, it includes all the creatures, sentient, insentient, everything is included. But here Lord Krishna makes a very important statement. Not only sattvika bhava, the sattvika padartha, the sattvika entities I am, not only pleasant, cheerful, helpful, and blessing entities I am, Rajasaha also, meaning that when earthquake, there also Lord Krishna says, I am that only, also. So not only all that is pleasant is Ishvara, but what can be painful also is Ishvara. What can be hurtful can also be Ishvara. Satvikaha, Rajasaha, Tamasaha. Now this is something very difficult to swallow. Because Lord, do you become these things? Do you become Rajas and Tamas? Do you become violent? You become destructive? So because of what is violent and what is destructive also I am. Evam sarva jagadatmana vikaritvapatya. Because the whole universe is constantly changing. Ishvara is Atma of the entire universe, then universe changes. That means that Lord, as the Atma, the very self of the universe, you are also constantly changing, undergoing change. You become Sattvika, you become Rajasa, you become Tamasa. Then Kautasthahanihi, Bhagavan also becomes Vikari. Because the universe is constantly changing, as the very self of the universe, you would think that the self or Ishvara also is constantly changing. In that case, becomes Vikari, becomes changing, becomes perishable. So is that what you are? He keeps claiming and then slowly gives up the, that is his style here. That, like in the 9th chapter also, Lord Krishna will say that I create the whole universe. Prakritim swam avastabhya visujami punah punah bhutagraminukristam avasam prakriter vasat. To controlling my prakriti, I create the universe, sustain the universe, and again destroy the universe. I do that. Then we ask him, you are creating? This is your creation? In this creation, there is so much of disparity. Some people are happy, other people are unhappy, some people are... So much disparity. It looks like you are partial to some people, you are cruel to others. Is not so? After all, when there is earthquake, when thousands of people die, it is cruel because Ishvara is also creating earthquake. He is cruel, is it not so? So that means, Lord, are you cruel? You also then are constantly changing, and that means you are also perishable, you are also samsari. If Ishvara creates the universe, and he is the creator, well, Swami used to say that Ishvara thinks that I am created and looks at the universe, what have I done? So what happens to you, Lord, when you see this universe in this manner? What happens to you? Natvaham teshu, this is where the secret is of the nature of Ishvara. Yechaiva satvikaha bhavaha rajasaha tamasasya. Without exception, whatever the universe, Satvikam very agreeable, very pleasant, very helpful, blessing. Rajasa, that which is agitated, which is restless, which can be aggressive, which can be hurtful. Tamasaha, absolute dull. Whatever it is nothing but my manifestation. So, but your manifestation keeps on changing. Does it mean that you are also changing? Mat evaitan vidhi. Here Lord Krishna gives a great secret of Vedanta. Matta eva tan vidhi. Here Arjuna, may you know that tan matta, they are all from me. Natu aham teshu, but I am not in them. Te mai, they are in me. So number one, they are all from me. Satvika, Rajasa, Tamasa means good, bad, indifferent, whatever there is in the universe is all from me. Because I am the only source. Mattah parataram nanyat. So I am the only cause. Therefore, whatever there is, it all is from me. Meaning that it all emerged from me. I am alone manifest as whatever there is, Satvika, Rajasa, Tamasa. Because now when you describe non-duality, this is the problem. Bhagavan, if you are there, does it mean that you are also the self of a thief or a murderer? So you are committing murder because that he says, I am the self of all. Your murderer is a tamasic person, let us say. And the tamasaha bhavaha, that also is from me, meaning I am alone in that form also. So people ask this question. If Ishvara, Bhagavan is the self of a thief, how come he does not prevent the thief from doing what he is doing? Is it not so? You would expect. Why doesn't he tell the thief not to do what he is doing? You say that he is the self of all, he is self of murderer also. How come he does not prevent a murderer from doing what he is doing? So this is a problem that comes when you talk of non-duality. If all there is Ishvara, that means that what is good, what is bad, what is indifferent, all of this is Ishvara. What kind of Bhagavan is this? What kind of entity he is? So, Lord Krishna here gives us the very basic secret of Vedanta. Dhatu aham teshu te mai, even though they are all from me, I alone am manifest as whatever there is in the universe. Still, te mai, they are all in me. Dhatu aham teshu, I am not in them. Now that is an interesting statement. I am not in them, they are in me. How can that be? That they are in me and I am not in them. If the ornament is in gold, then gold also is in ornament. Is it not so? How can gold say that ornament is me and I am not in ornament? If gold claims that all the ornaments are from me, but ornaments is, well shaped, where it is well shapeless, it is whatever ugly, good, bad, whatever ornament is, it is from me. I am is all the ornaments, then if ornament is in Ishvara, in gold, and gold is in ornament. So Lord Krishna says, no, they are in me, I am not in them. But in the Vedantic terms, we can say that I am the Adhisthana, they are superimposed upon me, and I am not superimposed upon them. I am independent. I am the Adhisthana, I am the substratum upon which the whole universe is superimposed. Meaning that in this statement, Lord Krishna clearly says that Brahma Satyam Jagan Mithya. That the universe is there all right. It is sattvic, rajas, tamas. There is blessing also, there is aggressiveness also, there is cruelty also. A sattvic thing is very agreeable, blessing, pleasant. Rajas is very aggressive and tamas is destructive. All of that is I. That's all because of me. But then I am not in them, meaning that I have not become them. So even though the whole universe is from me, I am the cause of the whole universe. At the same time, I have not become the universe. Although a little difficult, because when you say that the gold is the material cause of ornament, gold has become ornament. So Lord Krishna claims that I am the only cause. I am the material maker as well as material. That means that you have become this universe. Says, no, I have not become the universe. I just manifest as the universe. So just as the dream world is a manifestation and not a reality, so also the universe is my manifestation. I appear as a universe. I am not become the universe. All of this discussed in the very first class also as to how Vedanta explains the effect from the cause. Not cause from the effect from the cause. What is the cause? Sadeva Somya idam agrasit ekameva dvityam. All this universe was Sat, Brahman, one without a second. So that is the cause. So tadaikshata, then it deliberated, may I become many. So this is the cause, the universe is the effect. Usual process is trying to understand the cause from the effect, whereas Vedanta seeks to explain effect from the cause. Upanishad has clearly said that the cause is Sat, Brahman, one without a second. How do you explain all this diversity and duality? That it must be an appearance and not a reality. Thus, hey Arjuna, I appear as all the sattvika entities, all the rajasa entities, all the tamasa entities. Meaning that sattva also is a costume that I wear, rajas also is a costume that I wear, tamas also is a costume that I wear. And that is his glory. His glory is that there is all this variety, diversity in his costume. Like an actor has the freedom to become a king also, and a beggar also, and a minister also, and a sadhu also, and a villain also. Appearing but not becoming. And so Lord Krishna says, appear is all of this. And that's the reason why you can find me everywhere. If you take any entity, a thief is a difficult, illustration, example. Difficult problem, let us say. But theoretically, you take any entity, whether it is miserable, whether it is cruel. Even though, when says that how come the Bhagavan does not stop this cruel person, because cruelty is not the nature. So even though tamas and rajas are there in the universe, they are only what? Only temporary, they are only incidental. The real nature is sattva. And because of avidya, kama, karma, ignorance, desire, etc., that is distortion in the form of rajas, tamas. That's the reason why the rajas, tamas can be removed, which is what the next verse will tell us subsequently. That essential nature cannot be removed, cannot be changed, and what can be removed or changed is not essential nature. And therefore, this rajasa, tamasa is merely a distorted appearance of what is primarily sattvic, or even that which transcends the three gunas. Natvam teshu te mai, meaning that I appear as the universe, I not become the universe. So universe is all changing, doesn't mean that I am the self of the universe also changes, remaining changeless. Tad ejati, tad naijati, as the Upanishad says, that it moves, it doesn't move. So it moves as the universe, as the effect, as the appearance. In reality, it does not move. So what is motionless appears to be moving, what is changeless appears to be changing, what is non-dual appears to be all this diversity. Then only we can really, if this is what our understanding is, and with this understanding if we interact with the world, then only we can maintain our sanity. Because if we take what appears as real, we will get crazy because all kinds of things appear and you keep on reacting. So you react to whatever you come across, in which case you also become sattvic and rajas and constantly changing and reacting. So Lord Krishna says how to even look at the world, how to perceive the world, and that's how to interact with the world. There is an appearance, all right, but then you must always dwell before you interact, before you react. Spend a little while in dwelling upon what it is or who it is I am reacting to, I am interacting with. Ishvara, in this costume. So what is this one costume? Other costume, that is interaction at that level. But what is in all the costumes is only sattvikaha bhavaha, rajasaha, tamasaha. That includes every entry that we can come across. Vidya Vinaya Sampanne Brahmane Gavihastini Shunichaiva Swapageshu Panditaha Samadarshina. A Sattvic Brahmana is there, and a Rajoguni cow is there, and Tamoguni elephant is there. All of this is the nature of the costume. But the one who wears the costume ever remains unaffected. So that is being said by the Vedantic model of the Adhishthanam and Adhyaropa, meaning that Satya and Mithya. So what is in them is Satyam, manifesting through those Mithya or the appearances, all different changes. Natvaham teshu temai. So in this simple little expression, Lord Krishna has expressed a very profound truth, saying that Brahma Satyam, Jagan Mithya. That I am Satyam, Jagat is Mithya, I am the Adhishthanam, that is Adhyaropa, meaning that I appear as all these different Jagat. So don't take all these things very seriously. What you experience through sense organs, what you experience through mind, is only the names and forms. But then the gross manifestation, which is mithya, and therefore don't take it on its face value. Recognize what is behind this acting, behind this costume. Don't take the beggar at the face value. Recognize that there is a very wealthy person behind that actor or behind that beggar. So this is how in all these verses Lord Krishna has given the jnanam. So jnanam and vijnanam, this is what Lord Krishna proposed, that this is what I will tell you. So up to these verses, beginning from 4 up to the verse 12, Lord Krishna has described jnana, meaning the nature of Ishvara. And now we'll describe the vijnanam. And even next verse also we can include as the description of Ishvara. So let us take that verse also. But anyway, the vijnanam starts from here because now Lord Krishna is laying foundation of how to gain this knowledge. So verse 13 tells us, Evam bhutamavi parmeshwaram nitya shuddha buddha mukta svabhavam. Even though Ishvara is nitya shuddha buddha mukta svabhava, meaning that with all the appearances also the very substance does not change, the substratum does not change. It remains our own self, which ever free, ever enlightened, ever shuddha, ever pure. Sarvabhutatmanam nirgunam samsara dosha bija pradaha karanam. Even though Ishvara is the self, nirgunam, devoid of all the attributes, and therefore the knowledge of which will completely destroy the samsara born of ignorance. Mam na vijanati jagat. Lord Krishna says, even though all that is I am, and I am always very evident also, and if you look at, if people dwell upon a little bit as to what is that I am experiencing, you will find that what is this nitya, shuddha, muddha, mukta. Any ashuddhi, any bondage, all of this is just a costume that nitya shuddha is putting on the costume of shuddha. Nitya mukta appears in the costume of baddha. So nitya, what is pure, appears in the costume of impure. So Lord Krishna, that's my leela. So even though what is nothing but nitya, shuddha, buddha, mukta, people spend a little time and then little bit dwell and consider what it is that they are experiencing, it will be possible to recognize that all the ashuddhi, all the bondage, all of this is at some level, at the superficial level of costume, but in reality what is his own self, nitya shuddha. This is what Lord Krishna says, I am. Samsara dosha bija pradaha karanam. All the very seed of samsara, which is suffering, which is ignorance, and knowledge will destroy that ignorance, which causes all the grief and suffering. Mam na vijanati, even though all that is I am, always manifest, always experience. Mam na vijanati, the world does not know me. In Anukrosham, so Lord Krishna expresses little pity. How sad it is that, I am very evident. All there is I am. Right in front of you to recognize me. What is required is a certain, perhaps, a quietude of the mind, tranquility of the mind, viveka in the mind to see what is there. But then people don't recognize me. Iti. So, tachakin nimittam jagadajnanam. So, ignorance is the reason why people do not recognize what is evident. So, how does that ignorance manifest that people don't recognize you? So, that's what Lord Krishna says in the 13th verse. त्रिभिर्गुणमयैर्भावैः
त्रिभिर्गुणमयैर्भावैः
एभिः सर्वमिदं जगत्
एभिः सर्वमिदं जगत्
मोहितं नाभिजानाति
मोहितं नाभिजानाति
मामेभ्यः परमव्ययम्
मामेभ्यः परमव्ययम्
त्रिभिः गुणमयैः भावैः एभिः सर्वमिदं जगत् मोहितम् एभिः त्रिभिः गुणमयैः भावैः. So these names and forms are the bhava. So what we in fact perceive at the level of senses, or what we can experience at the level of mind, what we think at the level of buddhi, all of this is called bhava. This is jagat that we experience. Idam jagat Trivihi gunamayahi bhavayahi mohidam. Lord Krishna says that I am manifest in the costume of these three gunas. Mohitam jagat na abhijanati. People take this costume to be real. Mamebhyah paramavyayam. And I am who is ebhyah param. I who transcends them. So in spite of being in these three gunas, etc., I am gunatita, meaning that all these names and forms and guna dosha do not affect me in any way. Param, avyayam, I who transcends them all, I who is avyaya, imperishable, I in all the perishable, I am the imperishable, which is evident. But then people don't recognize me. Why is it so? Mohitam. This costume, Lord Krishna says, is so much deluded. So that costume appears to be so real. That is called Maya. What is in fact unreal is made to appear to be so real, and therefore, so Lord Krishna will talk about Maya in the next verse, but then Lord Krishna, so effectively I have assumed this costume of three gunas that people take that alone to be real, and therefore do not recognize me, who is the wearer of that costume, who transcends all the three gunas, and who is that very self. Not that Ishvara is somewhere out there, although this is how people look at, but it's not something that is out there. It's the very own self. Yes. Mohidam navijanati, deluded by this three guna, deluded by the very costume in which I appear. People do not recognize me. Ebhyah param avyam mam navijanati. Therefore, the people do not know me. One who is very much, who transcends this costume, unaffected by the costume, meaning the retaining my limitlessness, retaining, in spite of appearing to be limited, retaining my limitlessness. So it is, after all, Lord Krishna shows pity, but he has done this, by the way. He could have simply manifest himself as he is, and then there would be no problem. But then there will be no creation. The samsara would not be there. The life of birth and that would not be there. If we recognize all Ishvara as he is, then Bhagavan has no, his purpose of creation is not served. He wants the creation to perpetuate. It looks like that in the scheme of things, he wants this cycle of birth and death to perpetuate. And for that this moha or illusion, so what is in fact mithya is made to appear as real. That's called moha. Moha means aviveka. Translated, so Brahma Means taking one thing to be different from what it is, taking the rope to be a snake, and therefore taking Ishvara as myself, the limitless, taking the self as limited, quite contrary to what it is. So Bhagavan says that I appear to be quite contrary to what I am. And people are deluded simply by my appearance, taking that to be real, and live their life based on that perception, and never stop to inquire whether the conclusion that I have about the world, the conclusion about myself, I never question my conclusions, and that those conclusions, those perceptions, they become the basis of my life. When I see everywhere the conflicts arising, I keep on complaining about things, and I, blame everything for being what they are. But I never recognize that. I never recognize. All of this is based on my assumptions. My conclusions are all based on my assumptions. Whether those assumptions are right or not, that human being never examines as to am I really what I take myself to be? Is the world really what the world really is, what I take it to be? Thus I have perception about Jiva, myself, Jagat, the universe, Ishvara, the Lord, the Creator. My perceptions, conclusions about this, and I merely live my life based on them. Unfortunately, I never find what I am seeking. Although it looks like that I am successful, I got what I wanted, but I realize that that's not what I want. But somehow these fellows never examine. When you go to these casinos, and then when you go there in the beginning, what happens is you put some money and lot of things come out, so you make so much, make a lot of money in the beginning. And that's how you are trapped. And then by the time you are done with it, you are completely gone, So you, in fact, people become bankrupt by the time they are finished with that. And so, but then they never question. And so also Lord Krishna says, people do not question their conclusions. People do not question their perception, because it is the nature of buddhi to have conclusion, opinions or judgment, and therefore these judgments or opinions are never questioned. Mohitam nabijanati mamebhya paramavyam. They do not see I, who is in front of them, who is the very self. But then I don't recognize, and thus I entertain all kinds of moha, delusions, aviveka about myself, about the world, about Ishvara. So this is called moha, where there is false notion about myself, false notions about Jagat or universe, false notions about Ishvara. And thus human being merrily lives his life based on all these notions. Now questioning whether my conclusions are right or not. Never question my conclusions. Because everybody has that conclusion. Wherever I look around, everybody has the same set of beliefs. Therefore, I never think that there can be something which needs to be scrutinized in my own opinions. That's how the world goes on. So that's how Lord Krishna describes here the nature of ignorance. And the result of ignorance, that is his way of describing ignorance. Na abhijanati, does not know me. That shows ignorance. What is the nature of ignorance? Mohitam. Ignorance is not merely absence of knowledge, it is moha or delusion of false knowledge. Thus we have avarana and vikshepa. We do not know what the essential nature is, at the same time take to be contrary to what the reality is. So this is how the whole thing is set up by Ishvara. Now he can sleep. He can quietly, in his milky ocean, he can lie down and the world will go on. What will drive this world? Avidya and aviveka, ajnana and moha. These are all the motive powers which keep on driving the universe. So Lord Krishna, this is what it is. Then what to do? Now he'll tell us. So Ishvara's nature is described, Jnana is described, and then the Vijnana will be described from the next verse, the 14th verse. We'll see. Om Purnamadav Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamādāya Purnameva Vashishyate. Om Shanti.
Shanti Shanti.
Shankaram Shankaracharyam Keshavam Badarayanam Sutra Bhashya Krutau Vande Bhagavantau Punah Punah Ishvaro Gururatmeti Murti Bheda Vibhagine Vyomavad Vyapta Dehaya Dakshinamurtaye Namaha. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Hari Om. Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. Hari Om.